Hello and welcome to General Chemistry 1 or Chem 151 online at Yavapai College. I first want to point out the screen you're seeing may look different than the course you're in, although the contents of the video is for your course. Let me first start off by saying because you're taking an online course, the laboratory portion of the course will be completed by using a lab kit. You'll need to buy a lab kit from Scientific Interactive or SI. If I click on the Modules tab in the navigation menu, you'll see the How-To module, and then under Lab, SI, Scientific Interactive, you'll see a link to purchase the kit. That is a requirement to pass the course. Next, let's take a quick look at the syllabus. So under the navigation menu in Canvas, I'll click on the syllabus link, and here you could download or view the syllabus. I'm not going to spend much time reviewing the syllabus. I expect you to read through the syllabus thoroughly because there is a syllabus quiz. Next, I'll go back to the modules and I'll show you the courses and study resources section. And there's a lot of cool things here. You'll see how to create optional notes for quizzes for points. Well, in this class, you'll be allowed to use many resources while you're taking your quizzes and midterm and final exam. You'll be allowed to use electronic notes that you would upload into Canvas. I will give you a set of references, which I'll show you shortly. You'll be allowed to use your online textbook, which is called OLI, which I'll show you shortly. Also, there will be an AI bot available to help you work through some of the more quantitative questions. But first, talk a little bit about the note. You could upload any notes you want, but if you want to earn points for your notes, you want to follow a particular format. The video link I'm hovering over will explain how to generate notes for points. If you decide not to upload notes or not follow the format that's outlined in this video, you will not hurt your grade, or your grade will not be negatively affected if you don't generate notes. The notes points are not extra credit. This may sound a little confusing. Your notes point are treated like 100% on an assignment. So the more points you accumulate with notes, the more impact it will have on your grade in a positive manner. So if you earn only 30 points, well, you'll get a 30 out of 30 for the notes points assignment. If you complete 100 points of notes, then you'll get 100 out of 100 for that notes points assignment. So the more you do, the more in a positive way it'll impact your grade. And you really won't know the effect or the impact it will have on your grade until the very end of the semester. And the next item is the study guide, and it's a study guides notes template. All right, this is a document with a list of learning objectives for each of the quizzes. And you'll see this document in the video on how to generate notes, because if you want points for your notes, you'll use this document and generate notes. And you can see here, there's the learning objective, and this is where you put your notes, examples, etc. I'm not going to spend any more time explaining how to generate notes because that's taken care of in the brief video. There are PowerPoints available, although these are not narrated. I have these available for folks who like to see PowerPoints, but also I use these in the face-to-face hybrid course. This link here will lead you to the AI bot that you'll have available for the quizzes and exams. I encourage you to check this out and see how it works and get comfortable with this if you like to use things like this. This link goes to the references that you'll have available while you take your quizzes and exams. Now, this set of references I use for Gen Chem 1 and 2 and Chem 130. So things like medical uses for radioisotopes is not applicable to your course, but most of this other stuff is, like the periodic table, of course. So let me click on the periodic table. I want to show you how to navigate from one reference to the other. So you're in this reference tool, and so you go to one reference to the other by clicking on the blue arrow down here. And so you could go back to the main menu and then click on solubility rules and back to the main menu. Access to OLI. OLI stands for Open Learning Initiative. OLI, we'll just call it your online textbook. This is something Carnegie Mellon provides for free. How to access it is explained in the beginning part of the syllabus. I'll just briefly go back to the syllabus and point out where that is explained. It's right here. It's real easy to do. You set up an account. This takes like 30 seconds. You're going to use the General Chemistry 1 open and free version. This is a link to a spreadsheet that I use predominantly in face-to-face courses where I have some additional problems for students to practice. So I'll quickly go through this with you. And you could view this within Canvas, but sometimes I just like clicking on the link and opening it up in a separate tab. All these tabs down here in the spreadsheet, they start off with problems that I solved from OLI. If you scroll down further, you'll see pictures. And these pictures are from another reference. And I've included pictures of problems from another reference so you have a variety of problems to practice. And many of these problems from the other reference include the solutions. Now, this is all my stuff up here, but if you keep going down, you'll see a lot of great problems related to stoichiometry with answers. I also encourage you to actually use a bot. Not necessarily the bot I included in this course, but copy and paste the learning objectives from the study guide into a bot and have it generate questions for you. So back to the modules, and there's an office hour link. In the syllabus, it shows my schedule, and I have office hours online scheduled for Tuesday morning. Let me know if you would like to attend those office hours. If this time doesn't work for you, let me know what time is convenient, and we could arrange some other time to meet online. Here's the exam module. These are set on particular dates, and these exams will be proctored in a YC testing center. If you live outside of the Yavapai area, we could arrange to have these exams proctored at a college near your residence. Now, the modules noted in the title of the exams are modules in your textbook. So this is module 3 in OLI, module 5, 10, 16 in OLI. Neither one of these exams is necessarily comprehensive. They're very selective in the modules, but you need to remember that, topics build off one another. I want to point out something in the syllabus regarding the grading policy. It's regarding the final exam. What I want to show you is right under here under the grades table. If your final exam score is less than 50%, your final grade for the course will be dropped by 1 letter grade after all grades are averaged. I'm going to give you an example of what that means. So let's say your grade the day before you take the final is a B. And you take the final, you do really poorly, you score below a 50%, let's say a 45%. Then when your final exam grade is averaged in to your course grade, your updated course grade is a C. But because you scored below a 50%, that C will get dropped to a D. So there are some preliminary quizzes we want to get done. Of course, there's a syllabus quiz. And then here's a practice quiz you need to take using Lockdown Browser. If you never use Lockdown Browser, we could scroll up here to the How-To module, and there's some information about how to use Lockdown Browser, downloading it, etc. You will use Lockdown Browser with a video camera. Now, looking at each of the modules, the content modules, they have a similar structure. They all start off with the learning objectives for the module. And also there's a lecture section and then a lab section. Not all modules will have a lab section, but let's take a look at the lecture section. They all start off with the study guide notes template, which you saw above in the above module. This is where your focus should be. I would recommend you start here with regard to studying. This is a list of items that you need to know for the quizzes. Watch the tutorial videos that I made because they're very specific to the learning objectives and the items in the study guide. Then, of course, find other related problems in OLI. And as I mentioned earlier, I would encourage you to copy and paste these learning objectives into a bot and have it generate some example problems for you to get some additional practice. Then below the tutorial videos are the quizzes. There will be a link below each of the quizzes for you to upload notes if you choose to. Some quizzes require you to show work. You have the option of either typing your work into Canvas or writing your work on a piece of paper. If you choose the piece of paper option, you'll take a picture of your work and upload those pictures by 1 o'clock in the morning, like the next day. So if you're taking your quiz at 10 o'clock at night, like the last night it's available, which I don't recommend, but let's say you do that, you'll have until 1 o'clock in the morning to upload the work. The answer in your work must match the answer in Canvas. You must provide an answer in Canvas even if you show work on paper. So the two answers must match. If you don't provide an answer in Canvas, I will not give you credit for that problem, even though you uploaded work with the correct answer. And then there's the lab portion of the module. And as I mentioned earlier, not every module will have a lab section. So let me know if you have any questions about the course or any content at any time in the semester.